How you doing? Good? Aurora? Kingmaker? Preseason 4 continued. Part 2. It's going to be a long-ass preseason. It's going to be a whole 2 sessions of preseason. It's crazy. Moving on. So your character's made a decision. Rate. He stole a thing. You can blame somebody for that one there, Jake.
That's fine. What you didn't realize is I'd left my good axe behind and had the old axe there. So
yeah, that's exactly what happened. Moving on.
To be fair, the living metal one isn't good anyway. I don't know who made that. It was trash.
Mm-hmm. You're mad. She's gonna be mad. So moving on. Yeah. You can what was I doing? Sorry. Oh, so the last thing we need to do is make those rolls for your advisors and what they were doing during this whole situation. So Kithel is guarding. Where do you actually have Kithel's stations to guard? Is it specifically the capital? And you're saying, Kithel, your job is 100% to guard the capital? Or are you having him guard all of the purple hexes that we have on your map?
Well, Leon's taking care with the army of the purple hexes that way. So.
Well, he's doing beyond that. He's just going down. He's like, I mean, are you having him go to clear out Rid? Because like that's going to take some time. Just clearing out Rid alone is going to take some time.
I thought we were securing the road to Leshev first. That was what his job was.
I'm so sorry. I now see your little loopy loop there that you had going on. My apologies. I had half my map covered, so I didn't see the left side. So you going to head over that way first. Perfect. That's perfectly fine. So, because this all doesn't happen like all at once, it takes some time. Yes, Neil?
So Kithel does have like 200 men. I think, given what we know, there aren't actually many undead around Kurzweil. I think it would be best for him to patrol the length of the right. Oh, it's my phone buzzing against a glass. It really confused me. I was like, what the hell is that noise? I think it would be best to have Kithel patrolling the length to the right and the one to the left, because they have improvements in that we don't want to lose the benefits of.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Cool. So you're saying more or less go left, then come back and go right, and then head down. Gotcha. No problem. So why don't you roll for me Kithel's task. So this is very simple. You're going to roll a... Where are you, Kithel? Bum, bum, bum. I have some fun Patreon videos I got to make for this month pertaining to these boys and gals. Could you actually roll for me a 1d20 plus 9 on this one? Again, this is all going to adjust slightly in the future, but it's fine. There you go. 25. He's able to maintain security and whatnot over in this area of the of your kingdom very well. Always maintaining your guards where they need to be, seeing kind of issues before they come in. But also, Kithel is really good with nature. I mean, if you don't remember, he is literally made out of stone, and the what are they called? When this place was still cursed, literally the grounds that was like dangerous for most people moved out of his way for him before because of his connection to nature. So he can kind of literally speak to the ground. He has an ability where once per month, if a rock could talk, he can cast commune with nature itself. He also has the ability to create rough terrain in areas where he needs to, and so on and so forth. So because of that, he has the ability to kind of like see where danger is going to be, put up some safeguards. Zombies already move very slowly, and is able to kind of like protect your capital against that very well. The army, however, that is going to be a different endeavor. We're not going to make that roll nice and simple like that. But what we will say is that while they're guarding those that line there, everything is safe until we get to Rid. If they're actually passing through Rid, and this is an important notation, are they actually passing through Rid?
What? Wait.
Not Kithel.
Not Kithel, the army.
The army.
Leon, then.
Correct.
Leon's going to Leshev.
And then back the other way.
Oh, yeah.
I think he should head through Red, because one way or another, those undead aren't going to die. They are undead. If we leave them, they will simply come to Kurzful or
no,
head
that's
to
a good idea.
a pitched battle.
I would say Leon would use. Obviously, he'd be given some freedom in using his own judgment. If there's too many people there, he's not going to engage with his fight.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Because there is going to be, it's not people, it's zombies, right? Because that is literally going to be an army battle, like we've done before, where he's literally fighting what's called a zombie horde. So he can definitely go against them and fight against them. They are not weak, and so you're putting your own people at risk of going out and fighting a massive amount. You know that just flat out, there's going to be hundreds, maybe even 1,000 zombies over in Rid because of what happens there. As for the Undead, we're of course going to find out information about that shortly when I have you make your last kingdom roll.
Not thousands. Barely anyone died there. There was that one army, and that was it.
Yeah, you slaughtered every person to the last man. That was 200, plus the people that died on your side, plus everybody else that has died and been buried there for the past 700 years.
Yeah, that's not thousands. Rid's tiny.
I said maybe
Rid's
I said maybe
Probably
1,000. I said maybe 1,000. Yeah, but that's still. I mean, how many people die a year in small towns? Multiply that by 700 years. If Rid has even been there all that time, probably not. It's not on the map. You know what I mean? The original map or whatever that you have. So continue on from hundreds of years ago. So either way, if you're going to have him passing through Rid, one of the things that you're going to want to do is So what does this say? So one of the things that you're going to have them do is go into clash with Rid. They're going to be able to look from Rid and send scouts and be smart from a distance. He's not an idiot. Why don't you roll me his soldier boy check? This is Leon Jaeger, General Jaeger. You're going to roll for him a 1d20 plus 11. Whoever's rolling, someone decide. Tesh, why don't you roll it so you can be a part of this?
Okay, what are we rolling? 1d...
20 plus 11.
D what? 20 plus 11. Ooh.
Do you want to luck that? I mean, you have 6 left in the pool.
Is anyone? No one's going to say anything.
What are you rolling for?
How your army handles the undead.
Yes.
Oh, if that's a roll, yeah, luck it.
Ooh.
31. He sees that there are a bunch of zombies there. You're actually going to get with a 31 a little bit more information than what I was originally going to give you. He's able to identify something, his scouts, and he sends a scout report back to you. He's able to identify a bit more information than just by going to Rid, not just like clearing out the immediate area, which is what you guys have been doing. By going to Rid and sending scouts there to look things about, a couple of men on horses, so on and so forth, because yes, you can always procure more horses, maybe from Lechev. You're able to discern that there's more than just zombies that are here. There are zombies that walk around that are a bit tough, so on and so forth, of the recently fallen, the recently dead. These are frightening zombies because they're extremely durable. They're very tough, very difficult to even harm them if you don't have the right equipment. It took some time for them to realize, any bludgeoning or piercing weapons we have do nothing to zombies. We need to make sure everybody's outfitted with swords. Swords, sabers, axes, anything like that is all that they can use to fight against these things for the new dead. The ones that, Neil so graciously created and cursed the land with. So, the freshly killed, I mean. However, if they've been dead for a long period of time, they kind of break down into one of 3 categories. The biggest category is actually going to be skeletons. So instead of just being zombies, there's actually skeletons in the area, in which case you do actually need bludgeoning tools because they bash through them. And the skeletons are actually pretty brittle. These are fairly old and fairly brittle skeletons. So a random soldier could actually fight off a skeleton 1-to-1 and usually survive, though unfortunately injured, if it was a 1-on-1 fight. So even though your soldiers aren't the greatest of warriors, they're definitely better than these skeletons are. A 2-to-1 fight, they might still survive that as well. A 3-to-1 fight, they'll do some damage, but they're probably not going to. There's another type of zombie. These old, decrepit. Maybe the body was just preserved well enough that enough flesh stuck to it, or maybe it's just not quite that old, so some stuff stuck to it. These zombies are actually not that intimidating because they move so horribly slowly compared to the other ones. They're kind of like they'll be missing a limb or just deteriorated enough or whatever it might be that they're really easy to kind of like trick into pit holes, like because how slow they move, into like kill zones where the army can kind of surround and attack and blah 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 blah, right? But then there's that third category of older undead. They're not like the rest of them. They're not simple zombies or decayed zombies
shite.
or skeletons. They have a bit of a ferocity to them. They move with a speed. And unfortunately, your army doesn't get the opportunity to move beyond Rid. Because this rare type of zombie that seems to have appeared outside of Rid at the least, and who knows where else, their bites are infectious. If they bite someone, the limb, wherever it is that they bite, needs to be removed. They learn this the hard way because they turn. Unfortunately, army has lost men because, now I'm not saying it's infectious. Once one gets bit, they breathe and it's not airborne or anything like that. But if blood is shared, if bodily fluids are shared between one infected and another, it will. And you can imagine after the first couple waves of battling, in the hospice area of where people were being looked after, mistakes were made because the information was not known. We're going to do some rolls of your army as they're fighting against this zombie horde and handling it. And then once that's resolved, then we can have other situations kind of like push forward and move forward because I have some big stuff that's going to happen to you guys in just a moment.
Hello and welcome back to Aurorum the Walking Dead, aka Players Go Fuck Yourselves.
So, listen, there were 3 trump cards, okay? 3 trump cards. I needed to do something last season, at the end of last season. You think you just get zombies? No, they have to be a little bit more scary than that. So,
You think you'd have to fight literal armies of undead after winning a war that you barely won?
Yeah.
That's not hard.
So, just to handle this war really quickly, I'm going to have you guys... Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm going to have you guys...
What? Stop smiling.
Unfortunately...
Thank you, Josh.
No. Oh, wait. What did he do?
So what happens is, luckily, Leon is a brilliant tactician. He is the most brilliant of tacticians. As I said beforehand, the majority of the zombies are the ones that are there from hundreds of years, not the 300 or so that formed over the course of the past year, or maybe 400 or so over the course of the past year. That one was a hard fight, but your army was able to win that fight with a lot of effort. The easier part was all the other ones. They were able to kind of like almost like a herding buffalo into like kill zones, right? And just like destroy them very easily, just absolutely obliterate most of those zombies. The biggest battle that was fought and that was won was actually against, there was fought, nearly lost, but was won, was actually against the number of infectious that happened inside of the hospitals. But what ended up happening was, as reports are being sent back to your home, I imagine one of the chosen would probably go to look after the situation, or would send one of your advisors to look after the situation, hearing that there is a disease spreading amongst those inside your hospitals. Who would you send?
I would go because I have.
You would actually go to
the
Rid.
experience there.
You would actually go to Rid, a place that you're very comfortable with, and so on and so forth. When you actually head to Rid to see the situation, you go riding in and whatnot, with of course a guard to defend you. You actually see that Rid is, you sent what, an army of 500? Unfortunately, of that 500, a little less than 400 remain, and of those little less than 400, many of them are injured. That's just one of the unfortunate aspects of fighting the vast number of undead. Speaking, when you arrive there, however, you can see that things aren't quite as dire as you, beyond the number of dead and injured, aren't quite as dire as you expected. Because as soon as you ride in, people, of course, see who you are, and you're greeted, and you're like, Chosen of the Blade, please, are you coming to speak to the general to see the hospital tents?
Yes. Take me to him.
The general, then? Because I said or.
I'd just see the general first.
Okay. You go to see the general. When you go riding into the general, you can see that the general is, of course, tired looking, but is giving orders of people to kind of finish handling this, whatever it is inside of his primary tent. You go walking into it, and as soon as he sees you, he turns and gives you the appropriate salutes, which I don't think we ever decided what your kingdom salute is yet, or the flag 100% yet. Mm-hmm. And so he turns to you and gives you the appropriate salute and says, Chosen of the Blade, I honestly didn't expect your arrival. To what do I do the honor? To what do I owe the honor?
I come to lend some form of expertise. I received a report about what was going on.
You did. We sent a call for aid everywhere. And
Fill me in.
We've received aid. It came from the south, surprisingly enough. The slumbering queen came with her people. They came to lend aid against the disease. They brought with them herbs that were able to fight against it. It seems that they had some degree of aptitude with handling this kind of a disease. And they were able to save more soldiers than we expected to. The number of axes that had to be used as medical devices so that we can sever limbs here and cauterize there were able to be stayed. These soldiers not only will live, but will be able to maintain normal lives or even rejoin our army once they're healed up.
That is rather fortunate.
Incredibly so. Well, the battle here is won. Would you like to see the field?
I would.
You step out into the field, and as he's leading you through Rid, one of the things that you notice is that Rid is actually, for the most part, relatively intact. The only building there that was actually completely destroyed was the pier. Was completely destroyed. It was actually burnt to the ground, destroyed, so on and so forth. It probably happened a long time ago, is what you can tell. The tavern is all sorts of screwed up, but honestly, anybody surprised? It got raided by people that are like, oh, booze, and so on. You can see that most of the army that is not like actively guarding or whatever, what they're currently doing is they're actually grabbing the corpses of the zombies and carrying them out into the fields where they're being lined up, and you can see the kind of lining up they're doing. They're looking to set a massive fire, a huge fire to burn the corpses of nearly 2,000 dead. Just set them all ablaze and burn them and send them to let their souls rest and go to the beyond. They'll probably have this prepared by tomorrow to set them all ablaze. He gives you a report telling you more detail, of course, of what it was I described, as well as some small understanding of telltale signs of which ones are infectious. But that information is so preliminary, they're not entirely sure if it's accurate or not. But one of the things they do tell you is that when you drop a dead, they stay dead. For the most part. It seems like 1 in every 100, if you drop them, they don't just lie there. They continue to crawl and to attack and to do whatever they can until they're so dismembered that they no longer have any fight left in them. That's about 1 in every 100 are that way. But they don't necessarily know if those are the infectious ones or not. That might just be another way that they're afflicted by whatever it is that makes them stand and walk. You're not 100% familiar with this because, like I said, in Barren Lands, there are less corporeal and more incorporeal undead. There are no reports of incorporeal undead in Rid or anywhere around it thus far.
Okay.
They lead you to the tents, and what you can see is that the Slumbering Queen is no longer here. She did ride in with her people, and she has left since, and left behind a half dozen of her people with the, from what you're told, the remains of whatever herbs it is that they were able to muster beforehand, and that they're going to be able to lend aid moving forward. But that aid that they're going to try to lend moving forward is going to require them to have more procurement of these herbs. They don't have that right now. Your soldiers are pulling through.
Okay.
What's his name? Not Elliot. Xander is not here. Well, the Medicaid, formerly known as Xander.
Okay. I would just thank them for their assistance. That would be it. I would then spend some time, going through everything with the general and, asking, how he thinks everything went and what he thinks we should do next. And one thing I'm focusing with over this time, Skip, is learning from General Yeager.
Okay. Perfect.
Because that's something I told him that I wanted to do. So that's a focus.
Sure.
I'll be doing.
General Yeager actually has this amazing ability that patrons have known about for a long time. It's one of his boons. It's actually called Marshal Training. He actually has the ability to vigorously train with one person a month, and as long as after you train with them, as long as he continues to be a part of the kingdom, they gain one of those benefits for themselves. The benefit can either be +1 initiative, +1 to melee weapon damage rolls, +1 range damage rolls, +1 AC when fully defensive fighting defensively, or +2 to crit confirmation, +2 AC versus crit confirmation, or +5 base land speed. One of those options, after a month of training with him, you're able to maintain. If you ever want to change what that option is, you have to train with him for another month.
Clearly says 1 week.
Sorry, 1 week, I'm sorry. But then it lasts with you forever forward. So in theory, because he's so busy right now, he'll only be able to maybe aid you one person this month. So you can take advantage of that if you would like to, Jake, to gain one of those benefits for yourself.
Damn.
Yep.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'll take it, but that's not so much. I would be training with him as far as learning from him.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but this is part of what you can kind of gain from it. So this is one of the boons. All of the older advisors that you guys have had for a while have various boons. You've seen Tesh firsthand what it is that Arthur can do. All right, so that's what happens there. They actually win the army. God damn it! Everybody dropping all those fortune's favors. So they actually win that battle. And the army is not completely obliterated by this. You're able to grab from other people because you currently have it set to. Sorry, 1 second. Still aggressive recruitment. You're able to get people to replace them to continue with the army moving forward. That's where unfortunately it's going to stop at Rid. Let's finally have other shit happen. Yay! Before the kingdom rolls, we're able to have other stuff happen. One. Arthur was incredibly successful. With all that has happened, with everything that's going on right now, he comes back from Leshev with all sorts of guide, with all sorts of aid to your people. They, of course, need as much aid as they can. And so they have straight up said they are willing to, almost like mercenaries, pay you to have a standing army to defend them. As a matter of fact, so much so that they said that Rayron's riders have such a reputation. If they would be deemed so blessed as to be guarded by the legendary Rayron's riders because they border the open plains.
They're going to give horses.
They're going to gift back the horses and pay 100% of the cost for now. Granted, these aren't the same horses as before. These aren't the Varan horses of before, but they are horses. You know what I mean? So let's be clear here. But they are horses. They would gift back the 200 steeds, and they want Rayron's riders. Of course, Rayron's not going to be able to be there for it. He's going to have to choose a lieutenant.
Why not? I'm the ruler.
He's going to have to be able to maintain it. They are going to give back those horses and have Rayron's riders under their coin. They'll be paying the BP to guard their own home. That's not a gift. Giving a couple hundred horses is not that big of a gift. Beyond that, what they're also willing to do is finish building they were supposed to build a bridge. They're going to finish building the last 2 roads to get over to connect the 2 cities. That's, of course, going to take the total of 3 months for them to finish the bridge and build those 2 roads. But they are going to finish that for you. Beyond that, they understand that there was a previous arrangement with you, and you do owe them back that 10 BP. But a collection has been called kind of like a almost like a social, like a charitable nonprofit donation has been called to all of the people of
GoFundMe.
I can GoFundMe.
Help Kurzfall save you.
To all the people, including all the nobility and whatnot, to the soldiers, to the families and the soldiers and everything, over in to Kurzfall. So what they end up doing is providing so much funding. Now, you technically can do with this as you like, but the money, because it's just sent over to your treasury, but the money is intended to be spent over on all of the families of all of the soldiers that are fighting in this ongoing war, to make sure that you guys can help to protect Edir from the ongoing pandemic. Of the I suppose pandemic applies. Of the undead walking. Epidemic. There we go. Of the undead walking. What would you do with this money? Would you use it to hire more people? Would you use it to fill line your bank accounts? Or would you use it to literally pay the families and the soldiers to increase their salary, so on?
Should we funnel it offshore? Yeah, offshore. Okay, good. How much is it they're giving us?
A lot. I haven't given the exact number yet, but a good amount.
Maybe we should use some of it to, and don't freak out, Scott. Well, don't freak out. Maybe we should use it to build a wall around Kurzfall.
You're gonna build a wall, huh?
It's gonna protect the soldiers' families more than anything else.
I mean, it's honestly not a bad idea.
I can't wait for the irony of a trump card to tear down the wall. I can't wait for that.
We've already had one of those. Actually.
We've had one of those,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. It was amazing. It was amazing. I loved it. So thank you, Josh, for that one. Moving on. So, unfortunately, with the whole building of a wall idea, is that you still are within the limits of kingdom building rules, and you already know what you're going to be building for the next 2 months.
I would say it'd be good to do a bit of a combination. Yeah, look after the soldiers' families and stuff, but like if we use that money to also pay the consumption of the army, would be good, because then that's not coming out of our own treasury kind of thing. It all depends on how much we're getting. But
you mean to pay the salary of the army that Jaeger is leading at the moment?
Yeah, because what's that? That's how much consumption a month?
Not just them. It's also going to be the people that are being led by Kurzfall, in Kurzfall by Kithel at the moment, plus the Riders of Rayrin, more or less double their salary, take care of them, make sure their families are taken care of. Any soldiers that have fallen, make sure that their families are lined up and taken care of. More or less just to make sure that your armies are not disheartened by the fact that they're fighting something that they can't even fully comprehend.
That's a good idea right now.
And I suppose it would be worth sinking the extra money in to make sure that everyone has access to a sword, or say a warhammer, an axe on one end, a blunt end on the other, so you can chop zombies, club skeletons.
So you could take that money and use it to bolster the resources that you guys have to do that. Like, okay, thank you for the money. We're going to use it for the soldiers. We're also going to use a portion of that for buying the supplies to arm more of our citizens.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what we do in America. Whenever something goes wrong, we all buy guns. So,
what we could do is we could just funnel money through Hansa as the blacksmith, just overpay and then just reap it back into the coffers.
Okay, so this is Blackwater. Okay, cool.
So wait, in America,
Anyway.
when something goes wrong, you guys buy guns. In Australia,
So when we what we're gonna do? Sorry.
damn it! In Australia, when something goes wrong, they buy toilet paper.
Oh hey! All right, sorry, that was a good one. I shouldn't have interrupted that one. That was good. All right, moving on. And when something goes wrong in England, their prime minister shakes hands. So they
With everybody.
with everybody. So moving on. What are you doing with this money without knowing exactly how much it is? You're giving half to the families or more to the soldiers, I should say, or more. Give me a percentage.
Should we do half and half? That way, it's because I think we do need that morale boost. We do need like the supplies.
Yes,
I mean, it's going to help loyalty out, like, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I
you
think
give
it
half
is
to the
something that's
soldiers.
needed.
The other half, we can split that in, I suppose, 2 different ways, or you can keep it all in one. Do you want to use it all for shoring up the defense of your nation, or do you want to use it for lining the pockets of your nation so that you can pay for things, or split that?
I would say for that remaining 50%, we could probably spend, say, 25% of it on walls. Walls aren't actually that expensive, so possibly walls plus watchtower / fort somewhere, because they're going to be
so that
extremely
goes
key
into your
in
bank.
controlling.
Technically, that goes just into your bank account, which is
Yeah,
fine.
and
That's
then
fine.
the rest goes to weapons. And,
Sure.
and
Okay, cool. So, how are we spinning this? When this money comes in, what do you tell the people? What is told to Lashev and to your people about where the money is being spent? Are you 100% honest about it? Or do you say, this incredible amount of money came in for us to give to our soldiers, we give it all to the soldiers? Like, how do you spin it?
Of course, we're telling the truth.
Okay.
I trust our people.
Okay.
They've
Perfect.
stuck with us through thick and thin.
there's no reason to
No, that
lie,
we're
but
giving we are giving them like
Yeah.
a significant amount, and we're also making them safer.
Yeah.
yeah,
This
the-
much
the
is going to
idea
you
was-
money
guys
on-
to help you in this way.
Yeah.
This much is going to the soldiers, and this much is being saved to build a wall. And people like walls, funnily enough, when it's in between them and a zombie.
Moving on. So, resources from you giving the amount of money that you are to the soldiers, their families, it's publicly known, so on and so forth. You're actually going to get to your loyalty a +4. It could have been much higher, but obviously you only gave them half. So you get a +4 to your loyalty temporarily while that money comes in. This is what's coming to you from Lashev. Spending the money that you did on giving everybody weapons and the like, that actually is going to give you a +2 to your stability. And with the remaining money left over that you're just lining up your bank account with, this sounds like a lot, but you're actually gaining 10 more BP straight up from them coming here. You guys got 40 BP gifted to you from Lashev on top of the 10 that you borrowed from Lashev. So
Holy shit.
that's what
And they
were saying.
waived the debt, right?
No, you still owe back that 10. So you gave them 40 BP that they need. All right, so named after, yep. So that being said,
a successful GoFundMe.
Yeah.
Very fucking successful GoFundMe.
What do we
Jesus.
do? We have like
they're the strongest
made-
economy in the nation.
Yeah, we made the right call saving them. I told you they the trade hub. They have money.
yeah. Honestly, though, they've been good guys all along. To be fair,
Exactly. Yeah.
that's why Rayron plied them with honeyed words.
All right, so let's continue moving forward. Just make sure if there's anything else here that I missed before I push on. So there's that one. Then there's up here a little bit, up here, up here, up here. Cool. There's all right, awesome. Yep. So that happens. Moving on. Now we have reports come in from that we're gonna have you do your kingdom rolls in a moment. Reports are coming in saying that of what happens down in Vigil. Vigil was not unscathed by the situation. As a matter of fact, Vigil was devastated by what happens. Not only was there an army that literally fought immediately outside their front doors before they were able to burn all the bodies because of how quickly afterwards everything happens, because that was where the last battles were fought. Not only were there just tons of undead that appeared immediately outside their city with no closed wall now, which would cause a lot of issues. Okay, but Vigil, all their citizens are trained to fight. That's what they do. Cool. All their citizens have weapons and a small degree of armor. Cool. They can put their people on a barge. Cool. They can also defend their citizens with... Oh, shit. When things collapsed, the magics that pinned those spirits to that gravesite, to that monument in the center of Vigil, that allowed the Vigil, the woman, the Vigil, Octavia, to kill herself, to sacrifice herself, and raise them to fight back the armies, the magics that held that in place waned. Why, how, so on and so forth, don't worry about those details. That's shit you can find out as time goes on. But they waned. Those spirits rose. Now, fortunately,
But their souls haven't undergone any degradations. They should still fight on their side.
some of those, fortunately, many of those spirits, for one degree or another, had been fulfilled with all of their living endeavors and post-life endeavors, that they were then able to be released in spirit form off and to wherever it is that they need to go. Fortunately, some of those spirits were so tormented they didn't stay where they are, and they left Vigil almost immediately as they rose. Unfortunately, not all of them did either of those things, and they continued to plague Vigil. And even though Vigil has their barges that they're able to use to defend themselves against the undead that swarms their city, the undead aren't easily able to get to them. And we've all seen Pirates of the Caribbean. We know that just being on a boat doesn't save you from corpses, does it? But luckily these are unintelligent, we think. But water doesn't affect the incorporeal ones. Vigil is unfortunately very plagued by a different type of undead than most of Redir is. And they are fighting for their lives. It was a hard, hard fight for them to even get word to you of what's going on in their city-state. They're pleading for help if help can be given, and you don't know if you can. Either way, we'll have to deal with that after we make this kingdom roll for the close of the second month. And
Dispatch the goblin folk.
Finally, after we close the second month, we can have other things come your way.
All the free goblins that you pick.
Shh, you. Roll out your kingdom rolls, boys and girls, and then finally we can introduce first Will's character. Kingdom rolls. Let's look up the rules for that. Going back over here to Kingmaker. So actually, I should probably leave it over here for now. Kingdom rolls. Where are you? Nope. Close that. Close you. Where are we? I have so many rules in this game. So many handouts and whatnot. Kingdom rolls. Monthly rolling. First and foremost, what has to happen at the beginning of this is you guys have to roll for your stability check. This is 1d20 plus your stability versus control. Now, fortunately, you have a plus 29 against a DC of 29. So long as you don't roll a 1, you actually should be fine. So why don't you guys roll me that control check? Who wants to roll the 1d20 plus 29?
Go on, Will. First roll. Don't fuck it up.
What? I'm doing this?
You just have to not roll a 1.
1d20
Okay.
plus 29.
Just
Oh, oops. I tried to do that in the chat, not the. I was like, why is that an improper command?
You rolled 2 ones.
Okay.
instead.
You rolled 2 ones. That scared me for a moment. I saw the 1 and my brain was like...
Beautiful. So you sir, are perfectly fine with a total of a 40 with your control DC. Actually, things are able to be stable enough for this month. We'll deal with more stuff moving forward. For this month, things are able to be stable enough. So you're actually fine. The second part of the kingdom rolls is going to be, because you succeeded, -1 unrest. So that actually goes down to only 7. Consumption takes place. You have to pay your consumption in BP. Because you just had an army active for 4 more months, that one army that you have to pay for is usually, give me 1 second, its consumption is usually actually only a 2. But because you have Arthur with them, it goes down to 1. So your normal consumption for the month is going to be, is going to be 7 plus 4 more for 4 weeks of having the army out there. So it's a consumption of 11. Remove that from your BP.
oof. Okay.
After you pay your 11, you actually have to roll. Oh, we never found out what magic item was rolled last time. I can figure that out afterwards. After you roll your 11, you're actually going to be able to roll your whether or not magic items are generated. That number has actually gone up. You have a plus 100%, so you automatically create 1 magic item, and you have a 50% chance instead of 40 to create another magic item. Jake, roll this. High or low? What is good?
Hi.
Okay, so if you roll a 51 or higher, you actually gain a second magic item that your nation's going to create. So it's going to be either 2 or 3 total, including the last roll.
Yeah,
Beautiful. So I have to make sure 3 magic items are created for your kingdom. I owe that to you guys. As for what they are, could you do me a favor? Roll me a D100. You're going to do this twice, but roll me the first one first.
How can you roll the first one first?
by telling the Brit to be quiet. As long as it's not your wife.
Scott's had enough.
A 9, that's fine. That means you roll a potion. Do that again, sir.
Yeah, remember, always luck the economy roll.
And a 31 is actually also a potion. So you are getting 2 potions, and then we already owe you a wondrous from last time. Moving on. After that is going to be unrest is less than 11. I never got you to 11 yet. So unfortunately it didn't happen. Next is going to be confirm leadership roles assigned. You guys are happy with where your leadership roles currently are. And because Rayron's where he is, no longer are there any penalties or whatever that come along with that. Things are settled where they currently sit, which is nice. So we're happy there. Moving on. You're claiming 0 hexes, so we're not spending any BP on that one. Why would you claim any hexes right now? Moving from there. Building new buildings. Now, Tesh, this actually falls into you had the notes for this. You had upgraded, bringing this over here. You had upgraded.
Oh yeah, that's okay. This one's cheap. It's the monument.
Can I not see the other?
Yeah, we're not going to have enough for the jail.
Oh,
Give it time. We might roll well in economy.
you could.
But yeah, the monument is what we need right now. I had this written down and it didn't save, so let me just bring up the Kingdom Builder.
So, can I just ask?
Monument.
3 BP.
You're paying 3 BP to build the monument. Where are you building the monument, and what is the monument of?
Monument to Valorant next to the Martyr Temple.
Oh, mind you, just so you're aware. If you eventually want that temple to be a cathedral, it needs 4 squares.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So I didn't know if you wanted that somewhere else.
In that case,
Right below it. So yeah, there's the 2, and then if you look at the square below, there's house, and then on the right of house, you could just build it.
Build a monument there. And is it specifically a monument of Valorant, or is the temple Valorant, and this monument was something else? Because I wasn't sure how you guys were going to handle that.
Well, are we making the temple? We're making a thing to Valorant in the temple, aren't we?
Yes, you literally put his clothing and everything inside there. The temple was erected and enhanced and all that stuff in the name of Valorant.
People are paying 1,000 gold coins for a knucklebone.
You literally you could you can even call the temple the Valorant, or for instance, there's like the Holy Ghost Church and there's like St. Peter's. You could like name it something after Valorant in the name of the martyr because he was a chosen of the martyr.
Yeah, so what do we want the monument to be, like the 3 chosen then? If it's not
well,
just
I thought that's what we can do with the monument. The monument was going to be it's Valorant and all the people who were lost in the war with Hard Gwen. It was a monument to the people lost in that war, and Valorant being the big part of that.
Beautiful. So a monument to the people lost in the war, Valorant being amongst them. Almost like I can almost like imagine seeing if you imagine a monument that was erected like almost like a statue, whatever it is, of like a whole bunch of like soldiers that are standing there looking brave and fierce, but at the same time like making you feel emboldened. You can see almost like the weak, like the children and stuff like that, but they're all kind of like gathered around Valorant. You know what I mean? Valorant kind of like sitting there, almost looking. Sorry to use this kind of phrasing, almost like Jesus-esque, like kind of like a reaching out and like giving like a sort of like a loving embrace to like a child or like an injured person nearby, while a soldier stands there, standing guard around, and kind of like again a monument to all that were lost during the war. Maybe even like representatives, like different types of clothes to show that they weren't necessarily from Kurzfall, but from like all over Adir. But again, Valorant being in it. Being like kind of like almost like a center focus or the off center focus, Cool. I like the idea of it. You want to put it to the right of house. So just to be clear, we want to put this right. I got to click over here. Monument right there.
Yeah.
Jake and everybody.
I think that's what I thought. Is that okay with you guys?
Cool. And then by adding a monument to your nation, monument, that provides for you, just so you're aware, 1 to loyalty. I think that's all. It reduces unrest.
Minus to unrest, yeah.
How much?
-1.
Beautiful.
And yeah, that's right. 3 BP because we have the
Temple reduces the cost of it. Yep. Beautiful. Which is a one-time, I think, reduction of cost, which is fine because that's all you need to do right now. Cool. So you did that. So it increases your loyalty even further, getting you to a plus 24 loyalty temporarily, which is nice. This is way better than it was for the longest time. You guys barely started focusing on it, but most of it's just because of like event stuff and our repositioning. Okay, so that's what you built for buildings. Terrain improvements.
We got a -3. Just a second. We have 7 BP. We do not have enough to do much there.
Terrain improvements. Where are you spending those?
Can we spend anything?
They cost money.
Huh?
They cost BP.
Yeah. Do we have enough to cover anything? Terrain improvement?
No, because
We do, but do we really want to spend it? Yeah.
I mean, you
But the next kingdom roll is going to take 7 BP from us.
The next kingdom roll gives you...
army.
No. The next thing you're going to do is literally collect your taxes.
Yeah, but I mean, that's 7 more or less. You can say 0, and what we have to spend is what we make on economy, because that 7 is just going to be paid out to the soldiers in the next kingdom roll.
Mm-hmm.
For the consumption.
Yeah,
so
you're
I
right.
don't think
Okay, you're right.
We can't afford to build it.
We made the choice of, instead of having 2 watchtowers, we had 1 fort, and so that would have been this turn's watchtower if we did the 2 watchtowers. So yeah. I think
I'd love to, but I'm failing like a nat 20. I don't know. I think our modifiers are plus like 7 or 5 or something now for economy.
+9 right now, which is not great. The only thing we could do, possibly, it would cost us 4 BP. We could reduce our consumption slightly. So this area here, where there's a road going through, that is plains, I believe.
It is. You also have this spot here, the water. That's an area where you can build a hatchery or fishery, whatever it's called.
And that's worth a lot, isn't it?
No, a fishery decreases consumption by 1, so it's good.
Yeah.
But a farm decreases consumption by 2.
I think the benefit is you can do both that and a farm on the same hex.
It is, but a farm costs 2 BP.
Yeah, I wasn't saying do that now. Sorry, that's.
Well, it may be worth it to decrease the consumption by 2.
Okay, so yeah, put 2. I mean, actually, that works out. If it costs 2 BP to make, and it decreases the consumption by 2 BP, that flat out pays for itself next round.
Because purple means it's prepared, right?
Correct.
So it costs us 2 BP, and we get that money back in effect next turn. So within 2 turns, within 2 months, we're getting net gain.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, that's cool.
Cool.
Okay. So you're doing what? Plains here?
Farm here.
Farm there. And farm is, I believe, you have a little grass symbol, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what all the that one over to the right is.
Yeah.
That's right. We have the sawmills in the forests.
Many sawmills because they add stability and +1 BP.
Thank you, love. Appreciate it. You're amazing.
Have we been calculating that? Yeah. You get just a flat +1 BP per turn when collecting taxes per sawmill, so you should get +3 every turn.
Oh shit! No, I don't think we have been.
Damn.
Is that how that works?
Yeah, that's what it says.
What's happening right now?
Scott's getting his breakfast. His missus just made breakfast for him, and he's begging for mercy and thank you. As is the way.
Oh, my wife was nice enough to bring me coffee, and then I was like, "Oh, hey, I have a plate here. Can you take it?" And she's like, "Oh, is that from when I served you breakfast yesterday? No problem. Okay." It was like there was a smile and a soft tone, but not a soft meeting.
Neil just brought up something. The sawmills apparently give us 1 BP per like turn.
Yep, we calculate that into removing consumption. It's minus the consumption. You can see that on their kingdom tracker sheet.
Cool.
It's actually right over down below when you see sawmills. It actually says stable in consumption -3 because you have 3 sawmills.
Nice.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And we just so we built that farm that we've taken that consumption off.
So you built the farm there. Now here's an issue. You tell your farmers we need to build a farm here. We need to increase production, so on and so forth. Absolutely, you can do that. However, when you give the order to do that, they listen to you and do so. But because there's zombie hordes everywhere moving around in the lands, you actually take a shot to your loyalty by 2. Because of the fact that they... Am I vibrating?
But wasn't this land just cleared by the army?
Yeah, we
Will, you want to tell Dad that we're live? He's trying to call me.
we've been we had the people patrol our land.
They're
Correct. But you're telling people,
though,
hey,
so.
listen. Go out there and build farms. It's really important to make sure everybody's getting fed. We need to go build farms. Yeah, but there's zombies out there. Yeah, but it's like really important that we get things fed. So we're building farms. But there's zombies out there. Yeah, but people need to eat like zombies. and so unfortunately you take a hit to your loyalty while building people outside of protective areas.
Can we? I mean, technically that isn't protected, but can I mitigate that?
How?
By going with?
No, because you can't stay there with them all the time, so on and so forth.
I can, because it's in our hexes.
You can only mitigate it by building something else that would make them feel protected in the meanwhile. You can technically do 2 improvements, so you technically could build something else that makes things feel protected.
What's our loyalty at? Is it worth doing that?
We just got a temporary +4, and this is giving us a temporary -2, so I think we're at a temporary +2. So
yeah,
it's
okay.
at 22 out of our control DC of 29.
Yeah.
7 or higher still succeeds, and even if you roll
we'll just
a 5,
take it.
you have luck dice. So, yeah. So spend the cost to make the plains, which is beautiful, and then we're going to increase your farms from 2 to 3, and which is nice. Of course, it does take a little lick to the loyalty because people are like, okay, we'll go out there, but they're not very happy. But do what you got to do. And let's move on to the next part of this. Any other improvements? Are you guys good?
Nope.
Because you
Can't afford anything else.
Yep. Cool. Now it's going to be edicts. Are we making any new edicts or changing anything about your holidays and whatnot? I imagine no. No, yes,
no.
Sounds like no.
Neil, now that you're technically the ruler, you can actually create new things like new holidays. Do you want to create a Valorant Day?
Oh God.
And it could be a religious holiday to the day, in the name of the martyr.
Yeah, but let's not call it Valorant Day. I don't think you'd like that.
Do you want to call it V Day? We can just call it V Day.
No, let's not call it V-Day either.
In Rhode Island, they still celebrate VJ Day, Victory Over Japan Day. Like, yeah, we nuked them twice. I think it's the only state that still... There might be 2 states that still...
You've just lost all your Japanese viewers, Scott.
Good job, Scott.
I don't live in Rhode Island, and I disagree with it. And my wife and I, she works in Rhode Island, so she gets that holiday off from work. She goes... I'm like, wait, you have Monday off? She goes, yeah, it's racist day. I have racist day off. I'm like, oh, okay.
Why not? Let's just have a hearth day. You're supposed to spend this time with your families. And if you're out during lockdown on hearth day.
Moving on. And so I think this is the tail end of what we need to do, which is, since we're not declaring any edicts, not doing anything. But actually, technically speaking, aren't you doing diplomatic edicts? 1 second.
Diplomatic edicts don't exist.
They do. I'm just not worried about it at the moment. And so we are going to do, you don't withdraw any BP. You don't add any of your own personal money into the account to gain BP. You can try to sell your own magic items or trade your own stuff through the economy if you want to do that. Is anybody trying to sell or trade any of their own personal belongings through the economy to gain money? If not, we can move on.
No, but I'm looking to try and find some powdered diamond.
Oh yeah. So and you can try to use the economy to make that happen. That's not a problem at all. You're not trying to take
Jake's
from
got
them.
expensive tastes.
You're not trying to take from them. You're just trying to use your economy to get access to it. You can roll me an economy check, sir. Oh, and Jake, because you currently have incredible trade partners with a very, very close tie to them at the moment, you usually would get a bonus, but because of the zombie thing, you get a penalty. So you're rolling a normal one, but understand in the future, you would usually get a huge boon to this. The DC is, again, not the same as your control 9? DC. Yep. It's not against the control DC. It's a different one. Do you want to luck your 19?
No.
Okay. Just so you guys know, you do have a Winifred's Wisdom that was given to you, but that's specifically for a skill check, not a kingdom roll, that allows anyone... who wants it, first of all, because they didn't say who gets it. So who wants to have the Winifred's Wisdom? A +5... Okay, Will gets it. You have a +5 to one skill check of your choice. Kind of like
Perfect.
Kind of like how you were holding on to it in Regicide, you're going to hold on to it here.
Can we not use it on our economy?
Not kingdom rolls, no.
Not kingdom.
All right, cool. Jake, you are able to get your hands onto... did you say luck or no?
No, I'm not lucky.
You're able to get your hands onto the what's it called?
Powdered diamond.
Powdered diamond. How much are you looking to buy?
Yeah. 2 uses of it, which is 200 gold each.
This is for what spell
Is
again?
what I wanted to find. I can't remember the name, but I'll tell you when I need to use it.
Revivify.
But I'll tell you when I need to use it.
Yep.
Obfuscate.
What's the one that you put a magical rune somewhere and you can either it's like a blast effect or you can store a spell.
Yes, magical rune.
Yeah. Magic runes.
I don't think is it called that?
Yeah, I think it is.
But moving on. You find both of them. You spend your 200 gold pieces. You get what you need. You're good. All right. Who's gonna roll me the economy roll?
Rare.
Again, because of your allies, you have a boon, but because of the zombies, you have a bane. You're rolling with just that +9, sir.
+9. Okay. Give me that
Always
920, please.
Nat 20.
DM day. Oh, Day of the Martyr. Aklo. When I hand out daddies later on, I gotta make sure I give Aklo an additional 500 daddies for that suggestion.
Oh, fuck!
19,
God
so
damn.
that's 6 BP is what you get from collecting your
rubbish.
taxes.
Oh, shite.
But Patreon has not kicked in this session yet, and Patreon actually gives you guys this month 11 BP. So that 6 is actually 17 more BP coming to you. I need you. I was nice recently for the past couple of rolls. I need somebody to roll me a D100. Who wants to roll the D100 for no reason whatsoever?
Fuck
I'll
it.
roll that.
Oh,
You can
okay.
get a test.
You see, John, the reason we've not done the vault yet is we're waiting till the end of the session because we know as soon as we go to open that vault, it's just going to get trumped. So we have to burn through people's daddies until the very end, where we tactically dive for the vault. You see?
You've told them the strategy. Now they'll save the daddies.
All right. So, unfortunately or fortunately, whatever the case may be, an event happens. I still owe other events anyways, but an event happens because of time passing. This event is going to be somebody else. I'll let one of you guys to roll it for me. Because of the influence of Patreon, somebody can roll for me a 1d20. And where is my events? Here we go. That's what I want to look at. Oh, thank you, sweetheart. Appreciate it. You're going to be rolling a 1d20 plus 14. Right? Hold on, let me just double check. 1d20 plus 14.
Don't fuck it up, Tesh.
You want to roll high on this one. And you cannot luck die this. This luck die doesn't exist for this.
Okay, so we can only use Daddy's dice. Got it.
Oh, I can daddy's dice it if you like. Ooh, a 25. I think it's the highest. Oh, no, it's not the highest I've rolled. Oh! Wow. 25. Gift of the people. Let me just make sure I copy that down. Copy and put that over into your kingdom area. So it's actually going to be your new event is actually Gift of the People.
That sounds good.
It sounds
I'm
good.
confused. It doesn't sound bad. What's going on?
Your people would like to offer you gifts of gratitude for your leadership, the way you've actually led your kingdom, so on and so forth. You actually gain +1 loyalty, and you can actually set an advisor over the course of the next month to handle the situation. That is entirely up to you. You guys can choose an advisor in a minute, but that is a +1 loyalty from Gifts of the People, which is nice. That's actually it's a temporary, just like all the other banes and whatnot that happen, right? London Skies, all those, they're temporary. This is a +1 temporary bonus from Gifts of the People. So this is going to be event. No, temporary. Other? Yeah, here we go. 1. Gifts of the People. Cool. So loyalty actually went back up 1/2 of what you just lost. Cool. Awesome. And you can have an advisor handle it. Boys, a pyre was lit outside of Rid, to the east of Rid. A pyre was lit. A massive flame to consume the bodies of over 2,000 dead that lay out there. It's just unfortunately what needed to be done to handle the situation. A fire that burned so long, so great, and so bright, it caught the attention of many people throughout Adir. They can just see it. Unfortunately, from many miles, they can smell it. It catches the attention of one, more so than the others. Somebody who has an understanding of fire, a degree of affinity with fire, and brings them walking up to this area. Walking in and seeing this huge pyre of burning corpses, they're no fool. They understand what happened here. They're burning the bodies of the walking dead, of the people that unfortunately are not able to lay to rest permanently, that continue to plague these lands long after they died. Walking by the fire, they're able to see a military camp. They don't know you, and so guards of the camp approach and simply say, what brings you here? Are you looking for shelter? How does Nathan respond?
He takes a long sigh, lets out like a hot breath, and then says, "Not necessarily shelter, but perhaps a conversation."
With the general?
Whomever's in charge.
They give you kind of like a look over. How is your character dressed? How are they adorned? Describe Nathan to us.
All right, so Nathan is 6 feet tall, 210 pounds, human, and he's dressed in like, they're not quite robes, but they're not quite clothes. It's kind of like almost between the two, where it's like long partials of clothing just kind of hang off of him. It's not dirty by any means, but it's not necessarily clean either. And also he is I believe I'm wearing, am I wearing light armor? I believe I'm wearing light armor. Yes. Probably different colors of greens and grays and maybe even some light or faded out blues, but all earth tones for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Red hair, green eyes, a little bit of scruff, but not quite a beard.
Okay. So this obviously is the somewhat unkempt, but not also completely wild person that's here. They give you a look over, and they'll ask you, and they'll say, "Are you one of the free folk?" You, of course, know who the free folk are. Some people refer to them not so lovingly as plains pirates. Other people are annoyed by that phrase because pirates only belong in the water, and so they should only be called bandits, and stop calling them plains pirates, please. But you don't have to listen to their advice because, you know, they live in Germany. Who listens to them anyways? And then, but they also are mercenaries that can be hired out for temporary loyalty and aid. When they're not being hired, they literally will ransack villages and whatnot to gain their supplies that they need. They've even come against your own people, and so you've had to fight back against them in the past. Luckily, you were able to listen.
He would reply, "I'll forgive that insult."
And he gives you a look and says, "My apologies." And we'll set up for probably within, say, an hour's time, a meeting for you to meet with the general. He actually invites you to come.
Am I not with the general?
At this point in time, because you didn't necessarily have to stay here, right? You came, you oversaw the situation.
No, but that's what I was focusing on, if you remember.
Sure. So
I didn't have to be.
So you would be invited to go meet with the general inside the flap. So when you go inside there, you can see there's a few people standing around inside this area. There's a lithe female figure with a mask covering part of her face. Jake, this is somebody who's known as this is one of the Slumbering Queen's followers, who's just kind of literally here giving you a report of how people are doing and how they more or less are going to be able to leave soon enough once they finish treating the last few soldiers. This is not the Slumbering Queen herself. As I said, she had already left. So you see a woman, lithe, or with a mask covering over her face, her clothes covered with bits of blood and whatnot on it, her otherwise kind of mundane-looking clothing. You see a couple of other soldiers standing there. Clearly, they're a degree of lieutenant or whatever it might be. You can tell by their posture and so on and so forth. You can see that there is an older man, clearly Perrin, in look, because he's much older, so you can see his more sharpened ears and sunken in face and whatnot. That gives those like very parent features for when they're elevated in age. Clearly he's the one that's in charge of the situation. And then you see a much more feral looking man. I don't know if he wears armor or if he's bare chested with an axe at his side and braided hair, I think he has, as he's standing there as well. A commanding figure for certain, but you're thinking that the Perrin guy is most likely the one that's in charge here. You come walking in, and as you come walking in, the general will actually turn towards you and say, "I heard you wanted an audience. Please."
Yes, I would like to speak with whomever's in charge of the fire, 1, and 2, the land.
I suppose the person in charge of the fire would be myself. Burning all of the corpses, as you can imagine. Why? He looks to 3 of the other people inside the room and says, "You all have your orders. You're dismissed." And so the 2 soldiers give a salute and they turn and walk out. And the woman nods her head slightly and then she turns and walks out as well. As for the leader of these lands, and he takes like a half step back so that he's no longer obscuring the view between you and Grishka.
I would stay quiet for a second. I would just kind of look at you and wait to see if you would address me first.
I acknowledge you. I just look at you and nod.
I need to understand a little bit more about these lands. There was a curse here, no?
There was.
I've heard rumors. Are they true?
It's rather vague. What rumors have you heard?
The curse has been lifted or perhaps changed.
I believe we've lifted the curse. Well, more than one anyway.
Well, that's good news.
Yes, it is. What can I do for you?
You see, my people are wandering, and we've always avoided this area because of the curse. And I was set ahead to see what rumors were true. I was hopeful to see it for myself before reporting back to them that this area may be safe to pass through.
Well, I don't know who your people are, but at the current moment, the area is definitely, well, Adir itself is not safe for travel. We're doing what we can to take care of the numerous undead that plague these lands now. However, it is going to be a slow and arduous process.
Time isn't an issue. I understand that certain precautionary measures need to be taken, but perhaps I can assist. If we could gain access to passing through these lands, it would open up quite a world for us. And if that means me helping you make these lands safe, consider me a helpful hand, if you will.
I definitely won't turn down help. Might I ask you to be a little bit more specific
In which way?
in what help you could provide?
Well, you have an undead problem. I can assist in maybe getting rid of these undead.
Do you lead a host then?
No, I don't. But as you could see, and he gestures out of the tent, there's a fire burning quite largely. I consider that something done with ease. I can easily help you with getting rid of the bodies, or I could help you toll the body number up. I might not have an army with me or lead anyone else, but if you have men, I could perhaps help.
And what of your people?
My people aren't nearby. I was sent to scout ahead. I'm quite some time away from them.
Sure. Like I said, we're in no position to deny anyone that wants to help. It would be much appreciated.
He nods. But with said help, I hope you know I would expect free passage through these lands of my people.
Who are your people?
We are but a small clan, not too large in numbers. Nomads, if you will.
Are you human?
He nods, and then says,
I don't ask you that. I'm
Oh.
looking at you. Are you human?
Yep.
He says, your people, predominantly human, or?
He would nod to that, and he'd say, I'd tell you what they are called, and then he'd speak in a language that you're probably not familiar with at all. It kind of sounds like the crackling of fire. He says, but that might be lost on your ears.
He says, sorry, could you repeat that? And he casts voluminous vocabulary.
Ooh, I like it.
Ooh.
I'll pop it in the chat for you.
Yeah, let me see it.
Big brain play.
Brain. Your language is such a speak, understand, right? Yeah, so it still just falls deaf on your ears. He repeats it.
So it's... I can't understand you at all?
It is a secret language such as Druidic.
Are you speaking Druidic, are you? Yeah.
That's so perfect.
I thought you were speaking the fire language then.
Yeah, me too. I thought that was
Druidic, as you guys might imagine, Druidic in this world is a little bit different from a typical campaign's Druidic. It's not Fey-like. It's not like, oh, I talk to fairies and nymphs with this. It's more elementally linked.
Alright, so it's not the same one as I spoke to that fire guy before. Okay, that's fine. I acknowledge it. And I'll say, so all you want to do is pass through. You're not thinking of settling or anything else. You're just asking me.
We might settle for short periods of time, not necessarily with your community, but generally we don't stay in one place too long.
And your people are not like the other roaming population we have in Adir.
No, as I told your soldier, that would be an insult to accuse of me.
You know, he says, I can only speak for myself. I am one of two that rule Valoran. However, I don't have an issue. I will take it back to my counterpart, but I can't see any problems in what you say. You wish to help, you wish to pass through, might stop for a while. He just nods. And he extends his hand to shake yours.
He would extend his to shake yours as well and say, if you want me there for that meeting, I will be there. If you don't want me there, I understand. I can wait here.
You can accompany me back to the to Valor.
He'll nod and just seem ready to go whenever you are. Not much on him. Not a weapon. Nothing of that sort.
Okay, so I didn't want to interrupt before, but I will do a sense motive on you. Just about when you were talking about your people.
Mm-hmm.
So
We'll roll bluff check.
Do I have to actually roll a bluff check?
If you're lying.
That's why I'm asking Scott. I don't think I'm lying.
I said no and I shook my head. But
I wasn't looking at the camera. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Yeah. All right, yeah. Seems super sincere.
Okay, that's good.
Just
All right,
throwing
well,
up in 30s like it's nothing.
I will look to Jaeger and say, General, I'll be returning in the morning. Finish what you're doing here, and I look forward to seeing you back at the capital.
With all due, he says, absolutely, of course, chosen of the blade. I would unfortunately have to report that we are going to have to head back to Kurzfall to reinforce our troops to make sure that these men and women are brought back safely before we head back out to Hard Gwen.
That is fine. We must look after our own.
And so obviously that's why he'll be approaching the next one next month or whatever. Cool. Something I entirely forgot to mention before. One of the reasons why Leshev was able to come across so much money, this probably would have been really important information to share with you beforehand, was because a report actually came to you guys directly as somebody was actually brought to you. Super important that would have happened before even the Last Kingdom roll. Two men came and spoke to Kithel before, had a conversation with them while you guys were otherwise previously occupied. They were people that identified themselves as representatives of the Free Folk that wanted to come and give to you a gift and a bit of news that was then later on confirmed from Leshev. So the two representatives of the Free Folk actually come to you bearing with a prisoner, bearing a person bound and chained up, like manacles and whatnot, bringing to Kithel. Sorry, I'm just scrolling. Roll 20 is always super slow. Stop sucking balls. Roll 20. That'd be awesome. Be appreciated. So the name of the two people that came to visit you was a human by the name of Edric and a half-orc by the name of Azasam. So they come bringing to you the captain of the guard of the city known as Forvin. This is the person that, by all accounts and understanding that your characters have, captured Elliot, imprisoned him, tortured him, and had him almost sold him into slavery completely. In the name of Lady Greyarus before. Maybe not directly her, but, whatever, before. So they were actually able to go defeat this man in his own home, capture him, deliver him unto you. Unfortunately, they were in Herod when everything happens, and they just barely made it out with their lives. And with all the slaves that they had freed, they of course delivered those slaves to liberation. Some of them chose to stay in Herod for safety. Though, who knows what happened to them since. The rest of them joins another companion of theirs, whose name they didn't share, that rejoined the Free Folk. So some people joined in with the Free Folk because they were just liberated from slavery. They were able to inform you that in Harrod, the part of the slave chain was destroyed in Harrod because it was overlooked. It was a mistake. It was a blip on the radar that was completely overlooked, which is what happens there. The chain was ended there. They then went up to Forvin, where there was two counterparts that handled it. There was this man, the captain of the guard, who was directly a part of it. As you know, he captured somebody, so on and so forth. And there was an organization known as the Headless Eel. You don't know what happened to that organization because obviously ties between you and Forvin have kind of been cut with the situation going on. But then news traveled up from there to Leshev. When Leshev found out that hands were greased, there wasn't necessarily people known. It wasn't necessarily known for a fact that these people were actively slave trading. But palms were definitely greased to make sure that cargo was not searched, which is why it was able to come down the river from Lvov through Leshev into Forvin over to Harrod and then carted out and south into Paradel. Leshev did not take this lightly. I mean, they're a mercantile place. They're a place that likes coin happening, but they do not take slavery lightly, especially with currently everything that's going on. They actually raided the establishments that were a part of this whole chain. Many of the people that owned those establishments were in prisons, and their assets were liberated, and a lot of those funds were actually taken and delivered over to Kurzfall as part of the aid fund that was given to you by the city. Others, of course, threw in their copper, silver, and gold that they could to aid as well, but a lot of that money actually came from that seizing of assets of people that were participating in slave trade. Again, it's not known whether or not they actively knew what they were doing, but they were punished. Justice was served nonetheless, because there is no tolerance of that kind of thing in all of Irdir, except for, of course, Hodgwen and Forvin. And, well, those were resolved, weren't they? Anyways, I just wanted to make sure that you knew that these two representatives came in, white flag, offered a gift of information and a prisoner, and then all they did was look to leave. I imagine Kithel had words to be said about the free folk from them, and they just simply said, "It's our way of life since before you came here. You can choose to accept it or not, but it's our way of life. You are on our lands." And they was not meant to be an aggressive or an attacking thing. We, they stole horses from you? We honestly were not aware of that. That was kind of stupid of them to come and steal horses from somebody who was just their ally. We were not a part of that. We literally weren't even a part of the Battle of Vigil. Well, one of them was. The other one wasn't. And he was just there to write stories. But anyways. And then they left. They were, here's a gift. We just thought you might want to have this information and to let you know that this person was captured that you might be interested in. And boom, gone. So you have the captain of the guard of Forvin. So Captain Forvin, you can call him. Actually,
so
as a prisoner.
We wait for those free folk to leave the city bounds, and then we just fill them full of arsenic.
And so, yeah, they kind of leave. And so Kithel is the one that goes and delivers into you this prisoner and this information. He explicitly tells you we could say this happens, while one's still there, whatever it is. But he explicitly has this meeting with you directly without, Elliot there. And says, once again, just for the sake of continuity, says, we can handle the situation after other problems have been resolved. We don't need Elliot's minds being splintered. We just freed up a cell. Why don't we just fill it back up again? Kind of a thing. So, continuity. Handle it later. Cool. Jake, you ride back into Kurzfall with your fellow traveler there, and the army coming up not far behind you. You, sir, man, boy, sir, when you come into Kurzfall, you get a sense before you walk into the castle. I don't even mean the castle, Will. I mean, when you walk into the boundary that is Kurzfall, you feel a presence here. You feel something is strange with the ground here. There is lingering magic that exists here. But the magic that I'm referring to that's lingering is not a curse. It's whatever magic that was manipulated in the first place to make that curse achievable. Perhaps even why this keep was built here in the first place, whatever the case may be. You actually can feel the tingling of magical energy. As a matter of fact, you personally feel your own personal power is enhanced while you're here. You can feel nature almost actively trying to commune with you while you're here. It's a very, very strange experience. And it literally washes over you to the point where as you first step into the land that is Greater Kurzfall, as you step into that land, it almost gives you pause. Like you take a step and it's like, almost like have you ever stepped outside and just like the way that the breeze hit you at the same time that the sun kind of fell upon your eyes, and just like the peacefulness of the moment just hit you so hard you just had to stop and take a deep breath and enjoy nature. Even if you live in a city, that you had to enjoy nature even just for that moment. It almost washed over you like one of those very serene moments where you stopped and took a deep breath. And as you let out that breath, you felt this like what are they called? Goosebumps all up and down your body as you're like enjoying the moment. Go ahead.
I would say it's even visibly noticeable by anyone who's with me that I just my complete mood seems to change. I'm way less tense. I'm almost acting a little bit weird, not quite giddy, but definitely weird. Like I'm like tapping the ground with my foot. What?
I'm just gonna mute him for you. It's good.
But I don't even know what he said. I'm like tapping the ground with my foot, just kind of like feeling things out. I definitely seem off. This isn't normal, but I don't say anything.
You easily notice that, Jake. I mean, your character is the most perceptive person in the campaign, so, and high sense motive. So you immediately notice that.
Okay.
How you react.
Yeah, better than okay, actually. Wow.
Oh yeah, 5 minutes ago. Oh my God, it's Tesh's birthday as of 5 minutes ago. It's Tesh's birthday as of 5 minutes ago. I entirely forgot.
Happy birthday, Tesh.
Happy birthday, Tesh. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Happy birthday, buddy.
Yeah,
As a birthday.
No, we're singing to him.
Oh no,
fuck.
no, let's not do that. Let's not do that.
Happy birthday to you.
I'm just gonna.
Happy
Happy birthday
He's leaving.
to you.
Happy birthday.
Now I'm definitely leaving.
Mr. Chosen.
Oh
Happy
no.
birthday to you.
Hey, Tesh, take advantage.
Take
and
off
play
the-
a game
take off
on
the
your birthday.
jumper.
You should get something from Scott.
And if you
Scott,
want
you
to
should get a
Here we
sign
go,
up
boys.
to Daelric OnlyFans.
Daelric OnlyFans.
Yeah, Daelric has an OnlyFans. Have you seen some of his content?
I've only ever heard of that.
I'm the
because you guys
cameraman.
talking about it.
He's the cameraman. That's wrong on so many levels.
Just because I'm a subscriber too doesn't mean anything.
Good job, bro. Good job.
Keep up the good work. You see a thumb from behind the camera.
What I can say,
Aw.
what I can say, chat. I was actually going to say this at the end, but it's actually important to note now. There's so many people still here, and then we got to get back into the RP. Tesh is going to be streaming later on today. If anybody goes over there and does any form of support of Tesh's channel on his birthday, any subs, gift subs, bit drops, donations, anything like that you do, this is a one-time offer of triple the daddy value if you take like a snippet or a screenshot
God.
or something
Shit.
and send it
No.
over here. You will have triple the daddies here for any support you deliver
God.
to Tesh on his channel
Damn.
for the next 24 hours. So I just need you to send me a screenshot or some proof of it, and you get that. So that is up to you
Oh, God.
if you can or want to, of course, but triple the value. That's never been seen before.
That's a lot of trump cards. God.
Support
why?
Tesh to make him miserable.
Scott's like, wait a minute. They've dropped too many trump cards this session. Better buff them back up.
No, yep. All right, so moving on. I'm sorry, Jake, you are RPing at the moment for RPing at the moment for the fact that his character had this. What did you say?
I just asked him if he was okay.
I was like, yeah, actually, quite. He like reaches down and like touches the ground. Quite better than okay. You're like looking around. You have quite the land here.
He's purring. God, it's weird.
He's purring a little bit.
Cannon!
You know even when you touch the ground, the soil here is extremely fertile. Extremely fertile.
It's not the only one.
Hey-oh. Need an air. Keep going.
What did you say? We have quite the land here or something, you said?
Yeah, so you've quite the land.
He would just look at you and say, yes, we do. And we would continue on.
Yeah, he would continue forward. It graces me to just even be here. You just all in all, the conversation can continue just nondescript off camera, but he seems way less stoic than he originally was.
So and you can tell clearly he is not lying or bluffing. He's not trying to be complimenting. He's not trying to brown nose. He's literally swooned by the land itself, by whatever it is that just washed over him as he came here. You make your way into Kurzfall, to the castle. As you step into the, as you're making your way through the lands, something
Prepare
kind of
to swoon again.
So you can feel that there is some sort of power here inside this this place. Will what it is, where it is, you can't pinpoint it quite yet, but you do actually feel or hear whatever it is that's going on. So you do actually hear that there is some degree of situation. There's some degree of power, some epicenter of power that's here. Maybe even not a single location, but multiple here in the city. You can't identify them yet. You'll have to spend some time maybe meditating or contemplating or commuting to figure it out. Either way, literally as the two of you are walking up the front steps to get to the keep for the first time, or the castle, I should say, for the first time since you've arrived back here, Neil, of course, is already here. You have a soldier running up the steps, or riding up the steps quickly to join up with you, and calling out to you. Chosen of the Blade, I have word from the south.
Yes.
There's something going on down south. There's a new presence in Adir.
What do you mean?
They're calling him the hero of Harrod.
The hero of Harrod. Okay.
Apparently, the cities of the south. Should I give you the report now, or should we collect the advisors?
No sense in saying it twice. Go and round them up and let's do this now.
So you go up there, you rally up all the advisors and everything. For the sake of this conversation, we can actually say that literally everybody is here except for Leon. Arthur doesn't need to be with the camp at the moment because he can kind of go back and forth with the fact that they're stagnant. So everybody is here except for Leon. All right, so...
I wouldn't bring Nathan to the meeting, though.
Okay. That's fine.
Because it's a meeting of the advisors.
Sure.
It's,
So that's fine. So Will, you're the odd man out, and they kind of calls together. And so once the meeting happens, he says, rulers of Valoran, I have word from the south. There is a new presence that has appeared in the south that is currently dubbed or nicknamed the hero of Harrod. It's a single person, an individual. I don't know this person's name, and I certainly haven't gotten sight of them. But I've heard rumor that they have single-handedly saved Harrod from the brink of destruction. The number of people that have died down there over the course of the past several weeks since the Undead arose has not yet been... it's not been possible to tally them. They've been under an onslaught, fighting for their very lives. But there's a rumor that one individual person has walked into the city, into the town, and has destroyed, if not all, near all of the undead that were there.
One person.
One.
And yet we haven't been able to find anything about this one man or woman army.
My responsibility is to scout and to get whatever bits of information I can, but not directly to interfere. As you know, we're not directly lending aid to Harrod, and so I was told to he looks kind of like over at Ravina, to gather information, but not let them know that I'm with Kurzfall, with Valoran, lest people have expectations of us lending aid that we might not be able to give.
Ririam would ignore the soldier now because it's clearly not his fault. And he would look at Ravina and say, I would like to know if possible.
She nods and looks back to the soldier and says, Your chosen has spoken. Be safe.
Don't get yourself hurt or in trouble.
He nods, of course. And he nods, of course, and says, I'll head out immediately. And
Stay safe.
and he'll head out immediately after that.
This person could be quite an asset or quite a problem. All of the undead. I mean, I've only really heard of feats like that being committed by an alcoholic, to be quite honest.
What's his name? Arthur chimes in and says, yeah, but truth be told, it's just Harrod. I mean, that's a podunk town, to say the least. There couldn't have been that many dead there, could there? Rayrin, of course, remembers that he fought 2 battles immediately outside of it.
Rayrin would smile a bit sheepishly, and then it would drop. Unfortunately, we had quite a large amount of combat that occurred out front by the river. So, yes, I should imagine it could have been quite devastating, which makes this all the more peculiar.
While everyone is here and we are discussing this, I bring with me back to Curse Hall another man who has offered to help us. Would you mind if I summoned him in here?
Is this man capable of killing an army of undead? If so, I am more than happy to entertain him.
I don't know what he's capable of, but he has offered his service, so I will let him tell you himself. Guard. And he was...
Yes, let's invite the stranger into the council. Who cares what he's capable of?
So, I mean, to be fair, we allowed Rayrin in the council, and he's probably been the worst part of it.
I just love the idea of someone coming in. Fireball.
I was attracted here by the fire, namely this fire.
So you allow the door opens up. Now, Will, you might not be super familiar with what this place looks like in here because I don't think you've watched much of this campaign in the past. So you're inside an old ruins, an old castle that has actually been rebuilt up and fixed and so on and so forth. An important thing to note about Mole ruins, Mole actually had a specific way of doing their architecture where they actually weaved a degree of iron or steel through their actual stone. So there's be stone that's formed with almost like, if you look at like veins inside of a mine, how you'd see like veins of like ore or whatever inside of a mine, it almost looks like that throughout the stone. So when you actually come here, you can see the old architecture mixed with the reinforced with the new architecture by seeing where there's veins of metal running through and where there's areas that there's not, because they clearly don't have the technology or whatever it was that they did back then to create this sort of a thing. Moving on. But it is still a huge, beautiful, gorgeous castle. Like, I mean, this is fucking massive. We can get into the mechanics of how massive it is later on, but it's a beautiful castle. The room that you're led into is reinforced heavy wooden door that's rather ornate. When they open it to let in, the room itself is not very large in size. It's almost imagine the shape of a light bulb, right? There's a small little hallway. Once you walk through the door, there's a small little hallway that opens up to a big bulbous area. Inside of that area, which is rather large in its size, has a massive round table with a bunch of seats around it. But the table itself isn't like King Arthur, right? The table itself is actually a massive carved map. It's a map of Adir. Looking at it, you can immediately tell by the landscape and everything that this is Adir. However, some of the notations on, like some of the spots that are carved into this table on this map are of settlements that aren't there, as far as you know the countryside. That are either aren't there or are maybe offset from where they're supposed to be. Some of the descriptions of like the land itself are slightly incorrect from what it should be. If you had to guess just by immediately looking at it, this is a very outdated map. Nonetheless, it's carved into the table. Everybody that's inside this room, and there's several of them, are sitting around this large table, or standing, up to that, whatever, around this large table, including the person you had met beforehand. In here, also, again, incredibly ornate. There's also other bits of, like, furnishings, so they could have things like other supplies, whatever they need, just kind of like readily available inside the room. All the chairs in here, of course, well designed. To tell you how many people are in the room at the moment, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people in the room. Out of the 7 people in the room, there's 2 that catch your eye. 1, the man that you had met beforehand, the one that introduced himself. I imagine you heard Grishka's name during the travel back. He would have called himself Chosen of the Blade or Grishka, so you would have met him. But somebody else catches your eye. A large, towering man. You've heard of these kind of people before, Will. You've even kind of seen them before, but they're pretty rare. This is a man that is no regular person. He's a man made of stone. He is somehow connected to the elements, and he is a living stone man. He's massive, thick.
I would walk up to him as if, or not walk up to him, but I would like point my body toward him to speak to him as if he were the leader.
Yep.
So you must be the other half.
Do you say this in Perrin, which is common, or do you say this in Terran, which is clearly his native tongue?
For sure, Terran.
So I don't know if anybody else in this room, other than Elliot and him, speak Terran. Does anybody else speak Terran? I gotta check and make sure Elliot does. Does anybody else speak Terran?
No.
I'm just checking right now for
Master
Elliot.
of philosophy.
Elliot does. So you say, my apologies, say it one more time.
I say, oh, so you, forgive me, but you must be the other half too. And then he like hand gestures towards the gentleman he's already met.
Before he can respond, actually a smaller man, attractive, very well dressed, but definitely much smaller, much more meek looking than this person, immediately chimes up and says, in Terran, mind you, and his accent is perfect. In Terran, mind you, says, in fact, you're mistaken, and I do apologize for that. Kithul here happens to be an advisor to the Chosen of Valoran. He is not one of the Chosen himself. And then gestures towards Rayrin and says, may I instead introduce to you, and he says, switching to Perrin, which it's a name anyways, Rayrin Corvain, Chosen of the Quill.
I would interject in Terran and be like, and you can definitely tell like my body, I seem a little bit disappointed. Like I'm just like, oh. And he's like, well, at least he has him as an advisor. And he puts his hand out to
He
Rayrin.
responds to you as you like kind of like turn to give your hand out. Kithul says, I look forward to getting to know you. And he gives you like a judgmental kind of look, but not like an aggressive or anything like that. Like,
yep.
Huh.
He just he gives that like a nod and like maybe a small smile, and he extends an arm toward Rayrin and says, Nathan.
So I understand. You're offering your services. Rayrin after that will like take the yeah. He takes the hand. It's a brief. It's a brief.
You definitely have like soil on your hand now for sure. Like that's a thing.
So is this like a Boris Johnson handshake?
I shake hands and I shake hands with everybody. No. Rayrin wears gloves.
Well, your gloves are dirty.
That doesn't surprise me.
Of course, Rayrin wears gloves because he rides a lot, and actually,
Neil, get on with it.
With Rainburn.
We're finishing up the session in several minutes. I still have a long work day after this.
He says to you now in Perrin. He says, well, I know that you're in the middle of what seems to be some type of meeting, but I assure you what I told your comrade is all true, and I am here to help. With that being said, like if you look like you're about to speak, he'll say, I will stand in the back and allow you to have your meeting. And it goes to walk away.
Well, you are here now. Perhaps you could tell us what it is you have to offer.
I am offering a lending hand in whatever services you may need. I'm good at some things, not necessarily everything, but Basically, I want to make this land safe. We seem to have a common interest in that.
Yes, most people are not good at everything. Perhaps you could tell us of your skills.
I could demonstrate them if you'd give me a little space.
Is this something that would be better to happen outdoors?
Oh, everything is better outdoors.
God damn it, Sky, I saw that face.
The subway goes fast.
So, do you move the meeting outside?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Fuck it.
Might as well entertain the chap. And so you'll actually hear Arthur say, "Need we all attend the rest of this?"
Raren doesn't say anything, but as they're like leaving, he turns to him and goes,
So he actually gives Glugmug, Retrock there, he gives a... and the two of them kind of like make their way off.
"Oh no!" Raren looks pained. He's missing out on a drinking session with the boys.
And Ravina is walking along, is coming along, and she's actually going to lean into Rayrin as you're kind of like walking out, and says, "Why are we just giving audience to all of these people?"
You know what the best thing is? I don't really have an answer to that. I trust one's judgment on this. But yes, look into him, definitely.
And so and she steps back and says, "I unfortunately have something I needed to handle as well, gentlemen." And she, being literally the only woman in all of the advisors, so you know that's a thing. And she will take her leave from there as well. You'll of course still have Elliot and Edric and Kithel would come along. Edric realizes the other two left and said, "Oh, I have to," and then goes and joins the other guys. Elliot and Kithel come along. You step outside. William, what do you do?
I look at Kithel and say, and then I say in Terran, "Fire or earth? Fire or earth?"
Kithel will chuckle to that one. Sounds like grating rocks. Will chuckle to that one and will respond saying, "I, of course, have an affinity towards one over the other." And what's his name? Elliot says, "If only you asked a bit to the south. Earth, I suppose."
He just nods and he just like sits down for a minute, like feeling like the power of like this land. Like he's very, very like satisfied to be doing this here. And he like puts his hand on the ground and he seems to be maybe casting a spell. You can't really quite tell what he's doing. And you see him eventually just like moving his hand when eventually just like coming up from the ground is like a large sized, you want to say it's a horse, but it's doesn't quite have the details of a horse. It doesn't have the face of a horse. It kind of just like is a quadruped, just like almost horse made out of complete stone that seems to be alive and well.
This thing that you're doing, this I suppose ritual that you're doing, takes about a minute's time, right? Are there any details about the ritual that you want to describe?
Nothing specific. Just that he seems to be very like infatuated with like the dirt itself when he's doing this, and specifically the ground in making something come forward. He's speaking in a tongue that you definitely don't understand. Elliot and what's his name? Kithel definitely would understand. You would hear a specific phrase because it's a name. I'm not sure if you'd be particularly familiar with it, but it is, let me double check, make sure I say the right one. You would hear Jerta, Jerta, Jerta like 3 times.
Elliot would take note of that name because he's definitely heard it beforehand. Doesn't say anything about it immediately. So you see this large-sized stone-like creature comes out of the ground. Seems to be made out of earth.
And he just like pats its side. Says, "This is one of many things I can do."
Renan would clap politely. Very good. I can't say I've seen magic like that before. Though I suppose in similarity it's most akin to yours, you gesture towards Kithel.
Kithel shakes his head and says, "No, I cannot summon from elsewhere." And Elliot says, "Kithel, you noticed that too, then? That was not simply just a typical summoning spell, like you were calling an animal to your side to lend you aid. This is something more. This is something much more than that." And he kind of like walks towards it and like looks at you while reaching out his hand, like, "Can I touch it?"
Bites his hand off.
He would allow it. Have that. It might not like you. He smiles.
So he reaches forward and he touches it. And the thing, of course, I mean, it's not like it's a particularly mean creature, but at the same time, Elliot starts speaking to it in Terran because he can speak Terran. Says a few words, whatever it might be, and the creature seems to be soothed by the fact that he's kind of like, "It's okay." And the creature itself, it's not that it can't. It's not that it can speak, but it definitely understands perfectly what Elliot's saying. You can get the impression that as Elliot speaks to the creature seems to be understanding his words.
I don't say anything beyond this. I'd say I would just kind of look at both the people that are definitely in charge and wait for them to speak further on what I can do.
Oh no! So that's you two. You guys talk. I mean,
Yeah, I know.
He's just taking a heavy pause. Come on, dead air.
Yeah, I'm just living the meme. I'm one with the memeage. So, an impressive skill, no doubt. How is it you wish to assist?
Not quite sure. What do you need?
I believe you said something about the fires before. You said you could lend aid with the fire. Or...
You were burning corpses. Just give me a second. And he like takes his hand and like pushes it like down to the ground, and you notice like the creature just into the ground as if it doesn't exist anymore. And he starts doing another casting of, again, it's not quite a spell, but kind of is. And this time it's a lot more thematic with his arms, and it's another minute goes by before you see a silhouette of a person, kind of, maybe human, can't quite tell, but a being made out of complete fire.
When that one appears, Kithel has no opinion of it, because he just doesn't understand that stuff. But Elliot, of course, does speak Ignan as well, and so
I would say, Elliot, don't touch this one.
You said of course, I imagine in Perrin, and he responds to you in Ignan and says, "Do you know all of the languages?"
I would reply in Aquan, of course.
He nods and says, he nods and replies to an Aquan and says, "There's only one more I do not. Could you teach it to me?"
Orin. And he would say Orin in Orin.
Yep.
But...
He would hear the word Orin. I mean, it's pretty universal, right? Between all the languages. And so he would look at the what's his name there, Rayrin, and gives like almost like a childlike smile, like, "I like him."
Yes, you can keep him.
And so kind of like bringing things a little bit more down to earth. What's his name? Kithel would say, "These summons that you have are impressive. We cannot deny that, but what purpose do they serve? This being of fire here, how capable is it really?"
Would you like to challenge it? He like says like, it's quite capable.
He looks to one.
This, however, does give me an idea.
You wish to fight it, Cthulhu.
No, you don't see a wish to or not wish to. He was more looking for a command than he was a desire. What were you saying, Raren?
This does, however, give me an idea. If we were able to use riders to lure a great many of the undead, we know an area where the power of fire is increased greatly. We could decimate vast swathes of them with impunity through the use of a skill such as this.
Rayron, not Rayron, sorry. You and Kithel could have a chat in a second, but Elliot actually comes over to you and kind of has a little bit of an aside, so like a whispered conversation to you, Neil, and says, you know, there has been a vacancy since the formation of the kingdom. Typically speaking, you would have something along the lines of a marshal. It's kind of the counterpart to Kithel's position. Somebody that will look after the lands outside the centers. Kithel can look after Cursefall, and if he's more akin to the outdoors, perhaps somebody that can look after the outskirts. Assuming we're actually interested.
If the man wants to serve.
It's just there's so much about this lands that we don't know. We can't communicate with it the same way that, well, even Kithel can. But Kithel seems to be ignorant of what it is he's capable of doing. This man knows more, and it has me intrigued.
Very well. One seemed intrigued by his powers from the get-go. Kithel also seems intrigued, and you seem greatly intrigued. Perhaps we should let him display his qualities in a less controlled manner.
Give me 1 second to do something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He says, we don't need to be foolish. There's still 7 advisors beyond, of course, you and... Oh, yeah, let me just make sure I did that right. Hold on. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, he says there's still 6 advisors beyond him. If we gave him a full seat at the table, he, at best, could be a tiebreaker for a vote.
He will not be in the city for a large amount of time, so I'm not particularly worried on that front.
He nods and then kind of steps back. I don't know if you and Kithel were having a side conversation. One.
Oh yeah, I would say to Kithel, how do you think you'd match up?
Kithel looks it up and down and says, I am not a warrior by trade, but I am always willing to defend myself if need be.
I'm not adverse to you testing it out with, if you don't mind me casting a little bit of protection on you as well. We just want to get an idea of how this thing operates.
Kithel nods. Again, he's not interested in fighting. That's not his thing. But if you're asking him to test this creature, he will.
I mean, he brought it to my attention, so I'm going to go with it.
Yep.
He asked you to fight it.
I think he meant you fight, yeah.
Did he? I thought he was talking about himself.
I just love that, like,
Stoic.
with how perceptive one is, he somehow missed that one.
One is perceptive.
Poor
Jake.
To be fair, for Jake, it is like what?
While these side conversations are happening, I would stay quiet for the most part, but then eventually after maybe 3 minutes or so, I would say, and that map in there was quite outdated. Do you want help updating it? I could probably, looks to see if anyone...
Elliot's got and Ray are both like, because the magic and everything involved. Perhaps we'll have to discuss that first, Chosen.
Yes, I think that would be best.
Probably best that we discuss it before. So Will goes in there. All right, guys, I'm going to cast a spell too, and all of a sudden, trump card.
Oh my god.
Well, consider me convinced. You clearly have an affinity for the outside. I saw the difference between you in our castle and out here. You seem more at home, more comfortable. Perhaps you could lend your skill in ensuring these outside places stay like this. He motions to what equates to the lovely glade that we're in.
That's what I've spent my whole life pretty much doing.
Perhaps then, for a few months at least, until this crisis is over, you could lend us your skills. Keeping the lands clean and safe from the undead. Perhaps...
I would like that. But as I mentioned to your counterpart, I also would like it so that my people could pass through here without any issues. That's part of making sure that this land is safe, is so that my people who haven't been able to come this way due to the curse now can, and we can experience a whole new world.
Are you capable of speaking on behalf of your people? Elliot asks.
As capable as anyone of my people. I might not be the leader, but what do you ask?
Pleases me to hear that.
Please.
No, Elliot, after you, my friend.
He says, I'm just curious to learn the culture of your people, and so if we can converse, I can learn about them. I think that would set to ease the concerns that the chosen here might have. I imagine they're not scheduled to walk through here tomorrow. Perhaps we can learn a bit about your people, and then they can make a much more comfortable decision. Do you drink?
He sighs and he says, no.
Elliot sighs as well.
A wise decision.
He says, at least not stuff made by a typical person. And he's like, he pulls out like his water skin and starts pouring his water as he casts a spell on it.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
It's Ent Draft.
He cast...
Is it Neil? Tears to wine! It is,
Yeah.
it is! Neil, don't you have that spell? I thought Neil
Me?
had that spell, yeah.
No.
Sorry. Somebody had that spell. Patreon campaign. Tears to wine.
It wasn't me.
Magic is for proper usage, not such frivolous.
So what he does is he actually collects the tears. Like he likes to visit heavily polluted areas, like Los Angeles, and just like cries into a basin, and then he collects those to.
No, it's just water.
I love how Neil was just like, magic's not for the frivolous. As the second we realized what spell it was, we all went, yeah.
And yeah, you notice it pouring out of it just like clear water, but as it hits like a wooden cup, it's turning red, and he just starts drinking it. I only drink what I make.
Kind of like drinking one's own piss. Lovely.
I could actually turn that. No, all right.
There's the 10 charisma. We found it.
He says, but as for you learning about my people, maybe bits and pieces, but there's a reason that you've probably never even learned anything about my people, and it's because we don't typically just share everything with outsiders.
I thought it was all the curses that we've been fighting against, followed by the war and the undead, but maybe secrecy could be a factor. Nonetheless, I'm one to leave no stone unturned, so whatever information you're willing to glean, I'm willing to harness.
He looks at Kethel and he says, oh, so he's flipped you, huh?
Kithel shifts slightly.
Okay.
And then
What language do you say that in?
I would definitely say it in Terran.
Yeah.
Every single chance I get to speak to Kithel, unless it's like Kithel and others, it's definitely going to be Terran.
If it's Kithel and Elliot, it's probably Terran there too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's like they're having like a bromance going on at the moment. So, Elliot says, well, Chosen, what is our decision on this matter? Do we want to call a formal meeting and get the opinions of all the advisors?
One would look at Rarian would look at one. Or Grishka, whatever you want to go by.
I mean, he's only said his name actually to you. Anyone else, he just uses his title.
He'd look over and he'd he'd make eye contact. And then he'd nod. watch for a response.
One just like shakes his head. He's like, "Get him out of here." One nods at you. He nods at you. He says,
that's 66.
"We need all the help we can get at the moment."
Agreed. There is no need for the full council to be brought together for something like this.
I only ask that if you do take up this position. Are we offering him whatever the position is? Is that what we're doing
Magister,
right now?
that's what you guys are talking about.
Marshal.
Marshal.
Yeah.
What?
Give that economy a good old boop.
Exactly. We need to give the old economy a boop, as Scott puts it. He doesn't even do like a thumbs up. He does like a boop, like a thumb up the bum.
Oh.
Just like his OnlyFans page.
And then
but he says
he wants passage for his people.
I would say if this is what you wish to do, I only ask that you show the appropriate respect, not only to myself and Raven, but also to the other advisors and the people of this land.
For this time, you will be representing Valoran and Kurzweil. And as such, you are subject to the laws of Valoran and Kurzweil. Elliot can talk you through them.
Elliot says, well, considering I had to write them, he kind of says like under his breath, and then steps forward and says, I'm looking forward to having your drink and getting to know one another. Please come with. Bring your friend if you must. He says, looking at the medium size, so it's like an imposing.
Don't bring the fire dude inside.
Is Kithul gonna fight it?
Kithul's not interested in fighting it unless you tell him to. He's not interested in fighting. He's not a fighty guy.
We're at war with the undead.
I thought he was.
He's neutral.
Thought he
good,
was
he's
offering.
mellow.
He wanted to fight it. So.
He's neutral, good, and he's mellow. Why would he want to hurt the thing?
Well, that's what I thought he was saying.
No. If you tell him to, he'll do
if
it.
he doesn't, no.
But the amount of times Skunk was like, he doesn't look like he wants to fight it, but he will if he's ordered to.
Yeah.
I mean, the way he started, that he summoned it, he was like it was almost like you want me to test it out, not if you want to test it out. You're the chosen. Just fight this random fire elemental right now.
Well, I am going to. I feel bad for Tesh because it's his birthday. Happy birthday! We didn't fully get his character involved in the session. He'll definitely be here next session. We do have to shore it up
Jake,
because
wasting so much time.
I start working. 14,
I'm so sorry.
I start working 14 minutes, so and I have to go work a long work day before Lost Initiative tonight. So I do have to get going. So we're gonna have to shore it up here. We'll get Tesh involved. For those that are on Patreon that watch the VODs and whatnot that are over there, I will be releasing what magic item that hype train, that amazing hype train, gave to Will, and obviously all of you guys will find out next week when we play anyways, or whatever.
And Tesh gets a magic item.
And Tesh, of course, is going to get something for his birthday as well, but I won't say what that is yet. That'll be a surprise for Tesh as well for next week. That'll be a surprise for everybody next week. But anyways, I just want to remind everybody, same as I just said, we're going to raid somebody in a moment anyways, whoever's live. But if you go over to Tesh's channel for the next 3 hours and 45 minutes is the thing how it works out, and you provide any sort of sub, gift sub, bit, any sort of support, whatever it is that's over there, send me a screenshot that's proof of it. Triple the daddy value on this channel on top of whatever happens over on Tesh's channel. I think he takes clothing off when you do stuff. I don't know. That's between you and him.
Not OnlyFans, Scott. Twitch.tv.
So Tesh, why don't you start us up with the goodbyes while I find out who it is that we're gonna raid? What are you doing today, birthday boy? And do you want to tell us how old? I know you're not supposed to ask a girl how old they are, but
I'm 29. Thank you. So at 9 p.m. EST on twitch.tv/thetesttube, I'm going to be, and that's Tesh, not test. And I'm playing some Monster Hunter because the new updates come out with one of my favorite monsters from previous games is coming in with it. So I'm excited to see Raging Brachydios.
Oh, yeah. Apparently,
Yeah,
he's
so
hardcore.
I've got
exactly.
a raging
I'm
BSU.
excited. But yeah, so you should go come watch that rather. Also, if you want to know my character for next session with the introduction, now you have some extra time. Go subscribe to Scott's Patreon, and he's put up a video of episode 0 for Ilan. It's real good. I was real happy with how it ended up.
It was fun. There's been a lot of you obviously can't see the comments or whatever over there, Tesh, but there's been a lot of people very much enjoyed it. As a matter of fact, for those of you that don't know, I've heard it is arguably better than Laszlo's intro, who was the best intro into this point so far. So if it's up there,
No bar,
arguing
really,
with
though.
Laszlo's, it's a low bar for most of the characters like Rayrin, but Laszlo was so on fleek that you're arguably better. Ooh,
Yay!
boy. Awesome. Neil, what are you doing in a short period of time?
In a couple of 3 hours, we go live with Yavaskir, Horn of Plenty, Cornucopia, where we're traveling to Shinebank, the city. We're going to the big city.
A big old.
That's
city.
right.
Yay.
I play a cleric of life.
Appropriate with the cat fat.
She's my little sweetheart.
There we go.
Everyone just picks up a stray cat from that comes up. Ooh.
Will, anything going on with your channel, sir?
Nothing going on right yet, but within the next week or two that I said on Friday, you're gonna have some new content over on my YouTube channel. It's just been tough with like social quarantining and social distancing and all that to like get it done. I have plenty of time to edit, but I have nothing to film. But I've just kind of worked out some kinks, so you check me out over there. You'll see some content pretty soon and back to being on a weekly schedule.
Everybody, I don't see anybody playing Dungeons and Dragons live right now as a channel I can raid, and none of the people that I follow or any of my friends are currently live at the moment. So damn. I mean, this is sad. I want to go raid somebody, but
my goodness.
Do you guys know somebody that we should raid as we say, hi Jake?
I'm having a look now.
You should raid me.
I mean, I do that every night, baby. But yeah, none of the channels I follow, and literally the only Dungeons and Dragons live streams right now. There's 2 that are reruns, and 1 that's playing DDO. Which, come on, let's be serious.
I think no one I know is streaming right now because they all like streamed themselves out today. With the Hope
thing.
from Home charity thing that's happening at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. So anybody get anybody? If not, we're just gonna fizzle out to nothing.
Nothing.
Okay. Catch me live tonight, Lost Initiative show, Twitch.tv/Lost Initiative show, at 9 p.m. when we play some FFG Star Wars. Woohoo! I guess we're not rating anybody.
Thanks again.
Go out with a
for
fizzle.
all the support, guys.
Yeah.
You're funding Scott to buy me a new microphone. Well done.
Yeah. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye,
My
everybody.
hands are covered in cat fur now.
Before I pop out of here, I just want to say a last couple of thank yous to everyone. So we have, after that crazy amount of shit that happened before, we did have another 45 bits from Will, another 1,500 from Vin Sexel, another 2,000 from Oklo, another 1,000 from Oklo, another bit from Oklo, just to make sure I saw a message, another 1,000 from Oklo, followed by another friggin' 1,000 from Oklo. That's absolute craziness, plus 2 more gift subs to Hammer and to Flogging Schmolly, which is a hilarious name. So thank you guys so much for all the ridiculous amount of support that you provided today. I truly do appreciate all of it so much. There's another bit right there that's telling me to suck a dick. Thank you, Snaga. I appreciate that. And also, what was I saying? What was the last thing I wanted to say? Oh, for the 2 Fortune's Favors that were dropped, I know that they weren't played. That 2 of them are still sitting there out of 4 or whatever they got played today. I know that 2 of them are still waiting to happen, full-fledged. They will just come out next session because obviously we're having a lot of heavy RP as we're transitioning and dealing with a lot of problems. So please bear with that. Nonetheless, it was still a very fun session. Lots of RP and everything happening. Lots of understanding going on. And yeah, I hope you all appreciate it. I appreciate you. I'll see you tonight or tomorrow night or in my dreams because I see you naked. Goodbye.